Brothers Studio Tour London, The Making of Harry Potter. In this activity, with an expert's help, we're all going to draw a magical Harry Potter location and learn how to create our own magical place. As illustrator of some of the Harry Potter books, Jonny Duddle has brought some of the most beloved characters and locations from Harry Potter to life. Welcome, Jonny. I'm sure it's not your first time you've been to Leavesden Studios. You're intimately familiar with all the worlds of Harry Potter.
Yeah, I came with my daughter when I was working on the book covers. I think when I just finished, we came to look around.
Amazing. And you're going to teach us to draw today, hopefully. What are we going to learn to draw today?
We're going to try and draw Hogwarts, School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. In the book it says it's a huge castle. They see it from across the lake the first time, and it's on a cliff, and it's high above them, and they approach it in the boats. So I wanted it to look sort of tall and magical, but also it has to fit on the cover when you're doing a book cover. So it's got to fit in this space here, so it's got to be a long way away. And I looked at pictures of castles and places I visited. I take a lot of photographs of castles and things when I visit, and St Michael's Mount in Cornwall and Oxford, and I looked at all these sort of places and collected lots of pictures, and that kind of inspired that design. Even though it's quite sort of small on the book cover, it inspired the sort of design of it. And
was it very clear in your head before you went to draw it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when you just start drawing and see what happens. So you have an idea what you want it to look like, and you just draw. And that's what I've been doing since I was a kid. You just think about what you want it to look like vaguely, and you start drawing it. And sometimes you get ideas while you're drawing.
Yeah.
So you keep adding bits to it, and it becomes this magical castle.
Nice. So where shall we start?
Because it's it's a cliff and they go across in the lake. I kind of thought it's easier to start with the lake, and it's a straight line. So if we start at the bottom and just kind of build up. So we'll start with the lake, then go to the cliff, and just start adding bits of castle and bits of Hogwarts.
Amazing.
As we draw.
Okay.
So the first thing is quite low down, because you want it all to fit on the piece of paper, is to just draw a kind of straight line with a few lines.
A straight line.
Straight line with some wavy bits, because it's a lake.
Of course. And we don't have to be perfect, do we?
No, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right, shall I go? I don't know why I'm scared to draw on this. Let's start.
There. And then, because it's on like a cliff, it's drawing lots of sort of rocks. And it doesn't really matter what the shape of the rocks are. You want it. So I sort of just started off drawing sort of like a lump in the water like that. And then you can just plonk Hogwarts on top of it and just start building on top. So just a jaggedy, messy, sort of rocky lump.
And a rock that will hold an entire magical castle.
Yeah.
So.
And the shape can be different to mine. And if children are drawing it, they can draw any shape they like.
Great.
And then, when I started drawing this the first time, I sort of thought about they come across in the lake. So if you'd have a little jetty, which can just be a line with sort of poles sort of holding that up.
What's a jetty?
The thing that boats tie to.
Okay.
You know, like a wooden thing in the water that boats tie to. And then there's apparently a boathouse.
One thing I notice about you, Jonny, is because you're an illustrator, such confident, bold strokes. I feel like as a non-drawer, there's a bit of me that's like, it has to be perfect, but he's just going for it. We'll tidy it up later, right?
Especially for rough drawings and for getting ideas, I draw things quite quickly, and the drawings often go wrong anyway.
Yeah. Really?
Normally if I draw something like this, I wouldn't draw it on such a big piece of paper, I'd draw it on a small piece of paper, and I'd probably draw it quite a few times until I got it right.
Okay.
It wouldn't be necessarily right the first
time. I love that,
time.
yeah.
And then when they get here, they kind of go up some steps, so you can just draw some zigzags and then draw little lines on. Zigzags. And they go up the steps so they don't have to look. Sometimes just making marks makes things look like steps, because you imagine what's there rather than actually really being able to see it. And then this gets a bit complicated when you're drawing it at a funny angle, but when you draw at home, you draw kind of looking at the piece of paper like this.
Yes.
But when you draw buildings, you have to think about perspective. But perspective is quite complicated and takes a little while to learn to do it properly. So we'll just draw it, and if it's a bit wonky, it doesn't really matter.
And perspective is like the distance, things going off in the distance.
Yeah, and like the shape. If you look at something, then the shape of the angles, the walls go up, make it look more 3D. So if I draw, when they get up here, they go in the entrance hall. So if you draw two lines, but it doesn't matter if it's not perspective. When you draw things that look like.
That's sort of the entrance hall. Where the first years all arrive.
I'm going to draw a roof on it, because it's the entrance hall, and a door.
Look how quickly Hogwarts is coming together. Oh my goodness. You've lost me.
So if you go down at an angle here, and a roof.
Oh, I think I've made my Hogwarts too tall.
Fine. It doesn't matter.
It's
a really big. It's going to be the Great Hall, and it'll be a really big Great Hall.
Okay.
And then you'd have kind of windows and things, but because it's sketched, windows, in the Great Hall and things, they have lots of very tall windows, like in churches and in universities. You can just kind of draw lines, and they kind of start looking like windows.
Ah, okay.
And same for tiles on the roof, but you can do all the details later. It's just, and then you can just start adding other towers and turrets. So there could be, like on the cliff, there could be a castle-y bit with a pointy.
Castle-y bit.
You could do castle edges on.
I like how you just say something and your imagination goes, ta-da!
A castle-y bit.
A castle-y bit.
And then it's like a circle here.
So it looks like a mushroom.
Like a very flat circle. Yeah, very pointy mushroom.
Yeah.
And it needs lots of pointy mushrooms on Hogwarts. So, and there could be, what you need to do is just start adding lots of these sort of things. So more roofs and more turrets and more pointy bits.
And I suppose the odder, the wackier the shapes, the more magical it's going to be.
And it doesn't have to look like the one on my book cover or ones in the films. It can look like, as an illustrator, when you draw something, you kind of, it's how you see it. So you read the book and then you imagine what it is like in your head and you try and draw it. And children should just draw things like that. Like if they think Hogwarts looks different, that doesn't matter. Just kind of add the things you think it looks like a pointy tower. So if you just start adding, more tall bits, more tall buildings with pointy roofs, more windows, and it could have bits sticking off the side. But again, this gets a bit more sort of perspective-y.
I think the lesson you can take from my drawing is that Hogwarts is massive and that you should do it smaller, how you're doing to scale.
What you could do, and what I do a lot at home, because a lot of time when you draw a character, you might start drawing it, think it looks really good, and then as you go on, you've run out of space on the paper.
I have.
Yeah, what you can always do is add another piece on top.
Oh, yeah.
So you just stick another piece, especially with Hogwarts, you could end up sticking lots and lots of pieces on top of each other and just keep adding bits of Hogwarts to it.
That's a great idea.
So if we have another...
Oh my goodness. How have you just made that look real? Made that look so convincing, wow.
And then it can have more rocks. But I just keep adding to the drawing and then going back over the bits I like in the drawing. There's obviously is it the Great Tower? There's a really big pointy tower.
Yeah.
With the staircase and everything. So you could add that in and then slowly, so a bit like this, another big pointy mushroom with a bit pointy bit, but you've not got a lot of space. You maybe do it to one side, off the side here or off the side there. Actually, I'm running out of space as well. It's a very short.
Oh, that's
I think last time I drew it was much taller. And to make it look really big, you could have little windows and things on it and extra bits.
Well, I'll just draw them here.
It doesn't matter where they go, so you can put more towers here, more bits of castle, more sort of... And often when I draw something like, say, the first time it's not necessarily right, so I'll look at it and think, oh, what do I want to change the next one? I'll draw it again, sort of slightly differently.
Oh, yeah. So you sort of learn from each drawing that you do.
So I'll draw, every time I do something, I tend to draw it, well, sometimes if I draw a character or design something, I can draw it 20 times before I I'm really happy with the one that I use in a book or on a illustration. And also it's a bit weird drawing from the side, so you sometimes have to kind of look at it straight on.
That's my excuse.
Yeah, it goes really wonky when you draw it from the side. So you just need lots more towers.
I just need more
bits. Lots more pointy bits, towers. You could draw there's the big viaducty thing. I'm not entirely sure what everything's called, which you could have going off the side of the paper. And that's just like a couple of lines with some big... And then you could have more rocks over there, so it looks like that's going off the picture.
Yeah.
See, that's okay. And then if you go down that angle there,
yeah,
and then it can kind of just be stuck on the side. You can have a bottom to it and sort of legs holding it up.
Yes.
But especially with Hogwarts, because it's this huge magical castle, you could just, like I say, stick another piece of paper and just keep drawing, adding bits, more and more towers, more and more things. It doesn't need to look like my one or the film one. It can be your idea of what Hogwarts should look like. And there's particular places like the greenhouses, more rock. You could do this sort of thing, or you could have a dragon.
Oh,
we draw a dragon on the top. So again, like the castle, it doesn't necessarily have to look really like a detailed dragon. You could do just, so a dragon has a pointy nose with horns, and that's just a squiggle, and then a long curvy neck. Because you're so far away from the thing, it kind of looks, and he can have his claws on, and then a long tail coming off. Spikes maybe, and some wings.
I love that.
And it kind of looks like a dragon, even though it's not a really detailed dragon.
Vaguely
like a dragon.
I just blinked and a dragon appeared. That's so great.
So you can do more detail, but that's kind of, especially when, like I normally draw a small one, when you just want it to look like a dragon from a distance.
My
then it just
dragon
needs a
is
tail
massive,
going somewhere, and maybe some, it's a much bigger dragon. And same with Hogwarts, you just keep adding bits. I'm going to have some more towers.
Tail?
And then when I do a book cover, this is normally how I start off. I start drawing it very quickly and doing lots of sketches, and I'll do quite a lot of sketches. And then I normally colour mine in on a computer, but it's kind of the same way. I use a special pen, and I just photograph or scan my pit drawing and just start colouring it in, and maybe adding more bits of castle and more extra bits. You just need another big piece of paper so you can do a really tall tower.
Get the tower in there.
Yeah.
Bit of fire.
Oh, fire.
Add some drama.
And also, we're drawing it in kind of a blue as well. I sometimes use black, sometimes use blue, sometimes use orange. You could, if we had other pencils, we could always do lots of orangey, flamey bits. And
yeah. Colour in a bit, so you know that's the dragon.
We could shade bits to make them look more 3D.
Oh.
Does that look like Hogwarts? Vaguely
Absolutely.
like Hogwarts. Like a Hogwarts, like my Hogwarts. Like I say, when you read a book, it's your interpretation. It's what you think something looks like is what's important, not necessarily what you've seen before.
And that's art, isn't it? It's like just adding your perspective, your flavour, your touch. I felt the same way about, like, you know, playing Luna. Anyone else would play her their way, a different way. But like that's the exciting thing as an artist, that you get to kind of give your flavour, your perspective to the world.
Which makes it kind of unique.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Don't know how many more to add.
More dragons!
More dragons.
Oh, Harry, in his little boat. Can you draw
could do a
rowboat?
boat, although it'd have to be to scale, it'd be very little. So a rowing boat, if you're doing a rowing boat, it would, if it's going towards there, you'd have a little back bit of the boat, then a pointy sort of.
Okay.
That's kind of roughly what a boat looks like. Oh, with oars. And then it's so small, my pencil's gone so stubby, it just had to be the shape of a sort of figure. I'm not sure who was in the boat.
Harry. I'm going to do Harry and Hagrid.
So Hagrid would be much bigger with lots of hair. Maybe he's rowing, and that's Harry.
Harry, and he's got his broomstick.
Oh.
And then Hagrid.
And then you could draw little bits of water, sort of where it's come from, if you've got space.
It's meant to be Hagrid and Harry.
So that's a very quick Hogwarts.
Oh, I love it. It's brilliant. I love that Harry's entrance to Hogwarts starts with a fire-breathing dragon. How good would that have been? Wow. I mean, you look like you could just walk into that, and that gives you such a clear idea of the world that you're creating. I mean, just even seeing that sketch informs, for everyone watching it informs the rest of your world. It starts to trigger more ideas about what you can write, what you can create. It's just very exciting to see, like, your mind, your imagination spill out onto the page.
Yeah, drawing normally does sort of trigger more ideas. You draw something once, and then it gives you an idea for something else, and then it gives you an idea for something else. So more bits you draw, the more ideas you get.
Yeah.
And if you just sit and look at a blank piece of paper, it's quite hard. But if you just start drawing,
something
then you
happens.
get ideas.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jonny. Thank you for this amazing lesson and for getting me back into the habit of drawing. It is actually quite fun when you don't overthink it, when you just go for it and don't try and be perfect. Whatever you like to draw, remember you can use Jonny's tips and tricks to help you with your artwork at school and at home.